He's here. Woohoo! Alright, so this is what we have thus far. And I want just a little bit more control. It's not going to give me a lot, but just a little bit more. And this is what we're going to do. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a relative force to our rigid body. So this body, and it is add relative force. We're going to make that equal to direction. And we can pop in amount to move. The next thing I want to do is I want to add in amount to move to my direction to make this a little bit more responsive. Now, I could add amount to move to just the direction. So we have that. It feels a little bit more responsive than what we had, and that's because it has a lot more to do with this than this, but this actually helps as well too. But what I felt is we can add it to both of these. Now, by me multiplying my horizontal, which really goes between -1 and 1, and jump, of course jump is going to be higher now, and we can always decrease that because we're multiplying that. It just makes it feel a little bit more responsive for me, and we can move in air just slightly better. And I'm going to bring down the jump height to maybe like 50. So, and that's some of the minor changes that I wanted to do yesterday. And actually, before we get to sprites, we need to do some more stuff. Alright, let's add some player stats. So we're going to add in a int score. I'm going to add another int coins. We're going to add in another int lives. Now, when we get a coin, because we're going to kind of base this the same way we did the rollerball game, as in you have to get a certain amount of coins to be able to go home. So as for the coins, once we get a coin, we're going to increment coin by 1. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to increment the score. And then maybe we can give the players more scoring capabilities. Now, there are not going to be any NPCs in the game. It's all just running around and getting from point A to point B. But it's also not just a running game like Temple Run. We're actually going through the environment and have control over it, not just kind of running on rails per se. So score, let's say we'll make that 100. For every coin we get, our score increments up by 100. Now, let's say we have this here, transform position now. If we fall to our death, we're going to lose a life. Okay, and let's put it in here. Lives, let's decrement a life by that. and that's a decrement of 1. We can also do this as well, which is the same thing. And let's do some traps. Why not? Why not do some traps? Let's make some traps. We'll tag this as trap. And what we're going to do, if you hit a trap, you lose a life. And also, what else we're going to do? We need to go back to our start position. Now, we're also going to add in a mechanic for getting an extra life. And let's say 50 coins. It's going to take 50. And we'll put it in here. So if coins are greater or equal to amount of coins to get extra life, we're going to increment our lives by 1. I don't know why I just copied that. And then we're going to double the amount. So amount of coins to get extra life immediately goes up by another 50. And we just added in kind of part of a boost function. Well, it's not really a boost, but we added in a function where you can get extra life. And let's also do one other thing. Int amount of coins to go home, and let's say that's 100 coins. And also let's give a score incentive for getting extra life as well. So we'll say score is plus or equal 1,000. Now we have this here. We have other, and this is home. And then what we're going to do, if other tag is home and coins are greater than or equal to amount of coins to go home, we go home. And to go ahead and just kind of do that using Unity Engine.scene management. And we don't know which one this is going to be at this point. And we can also increase the score, but now let's keep it simple. So what I'm going to do is this. Scene manager, load scene, and then we need to know which one it is. We don't know at this point because we haven't created those things yet. And then we need our load scene mode. Load scene mode single. So it loads it by itself. But we're going to comment that out for right now. Now if we really wanted to be mean, we could say every time you hit a trap, um, then you lose all your coins. Uh, and we can add other aspects to the game mechanic to make the game more difficult. Alright, so we have all this in here. We've amended our movement. We've added in player stats. We've added in an ability to win and lose the game. Now, well, we haven't put in the thing to lose the game, so let's go ahead and do that very quickly. So if lives are less than or equal to 0, we're going to do that, and then you lose the game. All right, very good. Questions? None? Okay. So we're going to create here, and we're going to create a new class called Animation Controller. And we need the ability to use our sprite, so using Unity engine.ui. And we're going to create a sprite renderer. This sprite. And then we're going to create some public sprites, but they're going to be an array. And we got run, idle, jump. We also need to create some states for this, so we're going to create public animation states, and we're going to use run, idle, jump. And then public that's because I got to put it as an enum. There we go. Public animation state, and we'll start out as idle. Tortoise. We also need an int for our frame rate. We're going to set that to 12. And we'll go from there. No, we don't have to do that. But we can. And you're probably like, why is he talking to himself? So what we're going to do is we're going to play animations, and what we want to do is, it's not a state machine, we want to create a switch statement. And a switch statement is going to allow us to just kind of switch between these and bring whatever functions up as we switch, and then our actual animation, our player movement behavior is going to switch the enumerators. but this is how we're going to get started. So we're going to type in switch, and then we have to state what we're switching, which should be our state. And sometimes I have to look up the actual syntax because I forget it, but they do have, let me close this because I have tenants up, but if you do a search for Unity switch statements, there's one that they have that's built in, and it's really nicely done. It's a really good one. But essentially, we're doing this. We're taking this and creating our cases and then breaking them. And sometimes that's the part that I forget. And so we're going to do case. So case, and let's say we're idle. Then what we're going to end up doing is breaking that, but we're also going to run our function. Now I haven't created this function yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this, but it is going to be, we're going to use idle animation. Boom. And let's go ahead and create that function. Void. I don't have to have anything in there. I just need to skeleton it out. And then I copy this. And we're going to do it again. We only have 3, so that makes it easy. So we have idle. We're going to use run. And we're going to put run here. It doesn't exist yet. And let's go ahead and create the other one, which will be jump. So here we have the ability to switch our states. If we're idle, we play idle. If we run, we play run. We play jump, jump. And this is where we're going to put in all the information to make that happen. And the only thing we need to do now to actually get our switch statement to work is we need to run this in update. Now, nothing's going to happen at this point because we really haven't set it up. We haven't finished our setup. So what we're going to do now, and what I'm going to do is get part of it done, even though we haven't created our sprite and done all the other cool stuff yet. But so this sprite is going to be equal to, and actually is this sprite. No, actually this sprite is going to be equal to get component. Component that we're going to get is our sprite renderer. And there we go. Now, and let's go ahead and start out our idle. So if we're idle, this sprite is going to be equal to our idle animation. But this is an array, so we need to be able to cycle through all of those images in the array. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an int I. It is going to be equal to, and we're going to cast this as an int time dot time. Our percentage, well, modulus will be our frame rate. Time, and our idle length. And then we're going to plug that into there. And I need to change this to sprite because it's a sprite. We're grabbing that sprite component from that. Now, our run animation is kind of going to do the same thing. So what we're going to do is we'll change this to run length, and we'll change this to run, and we'll go from there. And we're going to hold off on our jump animation for right now.